first attempt at something called Outside the Box Talks. And I'm so excited to give this a try because this is a chance for us to get to know each other a little bit better, but more importantly, a place for me to share some things that I've learned along the way that may be helpful to you, and definitely some things that are a little, well, outside the box. So let's get started. Today, I wanted to start with a pep talk because given the world and given what I see in my own life, and especially in all the groups that I do on BetterHelp, it seems like we're all going through a lot, and just a little bit of kindness and some techniques and a little bit of your own wisdom can go a long way. So let's get started. I'm going to use a different intuitive technique every time, so maybe you would like to try the same thing. Today, I have this book. It's called You Will Find Your People. And something I like to do a lot, actually, is just think of, a question, and then I just open a book to whatever page it lands on. So let's see, what pep talk do we need the most today? Anyone who's watching this will be a message for you. Okay, now I'll just read what it says. Oof. A feeling of death by 1,000 cuts. That's this kind of vulnerability. In a perfect scenario, it's clear that both of you want to level up this friendship because you're both reciprocating and driving the friendship forward. But if that's not the case, because of your respective insecurities or being socially awkward, here's what I'd advise. You can start off by saying something like, I know you probably have a ton of close friends already. Obviously, you're great. This friendship is really wonderful and important to me. Aw. And I'd love for us to be closer if you'd like. How do you feel about that? So, like you already just heard there, the thing that I guess I would want to add and for you to think about is, have you ever been in that situation where you really find someone interesting, and this could be a coworker, maybe this is someone even online, and you think, wow, I'm lonely and they seem pretty neat and I would like to get closer with them. Maybe not romantically, but just to become better friends. And we never really learn that. I guess it happens organically, right? If you're extroverted and you have a lot of easy time together, like at a job or something. But now with us working at home and all these different things, and there's a little social awkwardness that I think we all sort of are carrying because of COVID and things. The bottom line being, it's hard sometimes to become closer to someone, especially nowadays, again, with so much being online. So in this book, You Will Find Your People, what she suggests is a line like, hey, I'm sure you have, lots of friends. Obviously, you're great. I don't know why that voice is necessary. It's not. But you might just say, you probably have lots of friends. It's nice hanging out with you. How do you feel about us hanging out a little bit more and becoming better friends? So that's a pretty direct statement. I think it would take a lot of confidence to say something like that. But that is one route to go. In the 11 years that I've been doing counseling and the 37 years that I've been alive, what I can say is this, that everyone wants connection. Everyone. And the difficult part is how we allow that and how we express that, because that's the trick. It's sort of like if everybody on earth probably needs to eat food and drink, right? And we know that. But some people, they're really picky with their food. This one time I went way out of my way and I made this 3-layer cake, and I'd never done anything like that before. And I spent a lot of time on it, and actually it was an armadillo. If you've ever seen the movie Steel Magnolias, it's from that. But anyways, I spent a whole day making this, and I took it to like a newer friend, and they said, "Oh, that's neat. Who's that for?" And I said, "Oh, it's for you because we watched this movie, with some friends." And they said, "Oh, okay. Well, that's neat. You can take it home if you want to." And in that analogy, I just want to give the example that we all need to eat and drink, but not all of us can just do that easily. Think of, for yourself, what are your rules around eating or drinking? You know how some people are really picky? Some people will eat anything. Some people only want the best, the purest, Some people never drink water. Some people only drink liquor or beer. And of course, that's an analogy for connection. Just think about L. George, that's funny. Hi, empathic beauty. So I guess the place to start, as far as a pep talk would go, if I could offer anything, it would be to start with yourself and just get to know, how do you accept connection from others and how do you give it? If you've ever heard of the love languages, that can be a place to start. But honestly, I kind of like my analogy a little bit too. So when you might even think about your past, in the past when you've really found someone interesting. I'm kind of trying to stay away from romantic relationships, but I guess it could be. Who made the first move and how did you become friends? My guess is it was pretty natural. This book is saying a very direct, clear route, which is fine. And I guess the bigger question now is, how do we get closer to people, especially new people, when in a lot of ways we don't have the same opportunities? For example, nowadays you can get food without leaving your house. You can order just about anything from without leaving your house. So that means people aren't really going to malls much anymore, so you might not run into people like that. And then even the grocery store, things like that. And there's so many videos online, for example, for working out. So people might not go to the gym as much. And everybody is joining drumming circles from home. Yeah, nobody goes out to real drumming circles anymore. I'm just kidding. But the point is a little bit somber, that think about it, you could go without leaving your house for days, right? And some of us do. And here's the thing that I want to say the most is, there are so many changes. It's really easy for us to sort of get wrapped up in shame a little bit. And this is a perfect example. I was watching this really neat psychiatrist on YouTube, and he takes questions from people. And long story short, which I'm not very good at short stories because of the ADHD, but I digress. This person wrote in, and he was about 22, I think, and he was just saying he is so ashamed because all he does is play video games all day. He works online and he orders his food in, and he keeps telling himself, you've got to go out. You've got to go out and meet people. You've got to go out and meet a girl. But weeks go by, maybe months went by, and he still hasn't really went out there. And the psychiatrist who is responding made a really wonderful point that it's okay for us to start just being really honest that we have never been in this position before in our lives, really. So it's okay if we sort of forget how. But we think, I'm an adult, probably most of us, we're all adults, and, I've made friends before and I should know how to do this. I just need to go out, right, and leave the house. But it's not that simple. So the thing that I guess I would want to share for you to think about the most is, in what ways are you hard on yourself for not having the people and the connections in your life that you want? Or maybe the connections that you used to have. And the first step, if that's your case, the first step is not necessarily thinking, okay, where can I go to meet somebody? I mean, obviously a drumming circle, right? But besides that, it's not about setting a goal, I would say. If you're going through this, it is cheaper to not leave the house. Absolutely, you're right. How is your relationship with food like your relationship with people? Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. I love that. And so the first step, I think, would be to just identify, where do you have a goal but you run into shame? And the first thing, there's several things you can do about that. So this is kind of a heavy pep talk, but let's start here. The difference between guilt and shame is, guilt says I did something wrong, and shame says I am something wrong. And guilt says, I'm really sorry about that specific thing I did. Shame says, you know what, I really can't even begin to be sorry because I am so horrible that I couldn't even pin down exactly what I did, and I don't even ever want to even think about it again. That's what ghosting is about, by the way, but that's another story. And lastly, guilt says, I want to make this right. Maybe, for example, you forgot a family member's birthday, or maybe you were trying to do something and you left your partner out, and they felt sort of hurt and abandoned. So guilt would say, oh, you know what, I feel bad about that, and I want to make it right. How about we, spend some time at the drumming circle, or something like that. And shame would say, again, I don't even want to think about making it right because I don't even want to think about it. In fact, this is going to really stand out to you, I bet. In fact, what often happens is the reverse. The person will blame, for example, you, instead of, really apologizing for anything. Have you ever had that happen where somehow it's turned around? But this is a pep talk. So in this moment, I guess I would just ask you to remember that you are always doing the best you can with what you've got, where you're at, and what you know. And so is everyone else. I really do believe that. It's not always easy to remember that when someone cuts you off on the highway, or when, people are mistreated, in other countries and here, but I do believe that. And if you can pause throughout the day when you make a mistake and really think about that, you might start to notice a softness that comes, or even better self-esteem. So, why don't we do a short exercise and then wrap up for today? So, whenever you're watching this, I invite you to do a short tapping exercise, but I like to do them a little bit differently. So if you're not familiar with tapping, it's called the emotional freedom technique. And it's just about tapping on certain acupuncture points while saying somewhat difficult things. And when you do that at the same time, your nervous system is like, oh, okay, well, it's not that threatening, so here's new ideas and here's relaxation, etc. So the problem that I find, I'll just be honest, if you've tried tapping but it hasn't worked for you, this is probably why. I basically have been studying Chinese medicine with a mentor for a few years, and this is the truth. So you can tap on these points, and that's fine, but think of like energy moving inside your body and around your body. And when we get depressed or we've been through trauma, imagine that energy kind of gets stuck, almost like a river that gets backed up. So when you tap, if nothing is moving, it's not really going to be able to move you. So we need to undam that river. We need to make sure everything is moving so that way it's effective. Okay, so let's just get started. The way we'll do that first is I would invite you to just cross your arms like this, and I'd like you to rub as if you were cold. You know what you've seen probably before done? And go all the way up your neck and down to your elbows like you're cold. And if you do it a little slower, if you're doing it with mindfulness, you'll probably get this wonderful, amazing, like warm tingling sensation. Do you feel it? If you go even slower, you're more likely to feel it. So just do that a few times. We are rubbing the energy channels forwards and backwards, which essentially clears them out. Okay. So let's do some tapping for remembering we're always doing the best we can and to give ourselves a break and everyone else. Okay, so I invite you to tap where I tap and repeat what I say. Okay, so this is my left hand. So tap your left hand with your right hand, and let's get started. Taking full responsibility for your own well-being, even though I feel pressure. I deeply love and accept myself. Even though I feel pressure because I can't do enough. I'm learning to deeply love and trust myself. And even though I feel impatient with others and can feel overwhelmed, I'm learning to deeply love and forgive myself. And maybe anyone else who taught me I was not enough. and tap above your right eyebrow. All this pressure to be perfect. I should be able to get everything done. Why can't people just do what they're supposed to? Even though I put this pressure on myself, starting today, I care enough to let it go. What the heck do you mean, let it go? Max, you don't know my life. I have too many things to do right now. And even though I feel this pressure, because someone once taught me I'm never doing enough. I forgive them and forgive myself. Because I'm always doing the best I can with what I've got. If I could do better, I would. Starting today, I can appreciate all my effort and accomplishments. And I can be an inspiration for others. Because deep down, they want someone to appreciate them the same. Just for today, I am enough. And so is everyone else. In body, mind, and spirit. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, breathe in again, breathe in again, hold it, hold it, hold it, breathe out. Focus on your chest, breathe in, focus on your forehead, breathe in, focus on the top of your head, breathe in, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and release. One more time, focus on your chest, breathe in, move it to your forehead, breathe in, move it to the top of your head, breathe in, hold it, let it all float up there to be released, and breathe out. Just take a moment with your eyes closed to let the dust settle. Notice any changes in your body, in your feelings, in your outlook for the day. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So, I hope that was helpful, and remember that in the end, everything will be okay. And if it's not okay yet, it's not the end. Take care, and I'll see you soon.